Hello everybody and welcome to Paulet at 8:15 in the evening. Even I wasn't expecting myself to do this. Anyway, here I am at the main bus stop in the village, which is outside the British Legion club thing, sort of a madhouse type place. And well, something quite interesting is currently making its way towards the bus stop. Yes, this is no ordinary single-decker bus. This is a electric Yutong E10 bus. Yes, First Bus Somerset have finally received their new electric buses, so let's have a look at them whilst they're out on the 21 and 22 routes. For a start, here we are on the interior of the Yutong E10. The bus has announcements as well as a whole load of other features. It also features the new electric First Bus maquette, which is different to the normal First Bus maquette. And it will be quite interesting to see if this will be rolled out on all of First buses whenever they get refurbished, or if they'll just be rolled out on the electric buses. Anyway, the bus also had announcements as well as destination screens, USB ports, and most things you would expect for a modern bus.
Stoppies, stretch your turn.
Here I am leaving the village onto the main A38 towards Highbridge, and here we can see how good the new bus's acceleration is, since this is quite a fast section of the A38 road. And I know it's an electric bus, so the acceleration would be fast anyway, but it's pretty good. Although saying that, this is quite a lightweight single-decker bus. Now, there is a longer version of this bus known as the Yutong E10. However, I am unaware that Buses of Somerset or First Bus Somerset, whatever they're known as now, are not getting any of these. I'm pretty sure they're not receiving any E12s, only E10s. And I believe that they've all arrived. They're only getting 4 of these, which is why the frequencies on the Taunton Town services recently has actually been reduced. So they only have to order 4 electric buses. As you can see, it has the standard Yutong power sockets, which are a little bit different to what you'd find on a regular bus. Overall, the quality of the bus was pretty good, but I wouldn't say it was up to Alexander Dennis standards. However, I think it's quite a nice, modern and reliable bus. Here is the very back of the bus, which is quite high up because it is an electric bus, so you need all of the room for the electric motors. There you can see the new First Bus electric bus maquette, which I have seen on 1 or 2 other buses in the past.
The next stop is Cemetery. next stop is Holiday Village. Next stop is Old Pier Tavern. For your safety, please remain seated until the bus stops. If you tapped on when boarding, please remember to tap off as you leave.
Here I am approaching the Old Pier Tavern bus stop, otherwise known as the Reed's Arms. They have changed the name of the bus stop for no apparent reason whatsoever. And as you can see, the destination board now just says bus stopping. Now I would expect it to say bus stopping for about 5 or 10 seconds and then go back to the normal screen showing you what the next stops are. But for some reason or another, it just keeps saying bus stopping. I guess this must be a glitch or something. It's done this on all of the electric buses I've been on. Here I am now, right in the centre of Burnham on Sea, which at about 8:30, 8:45 in the evening, is probably not the best place to be. However, considering that Burnham on Sea is quite a dump, it's not as bad as Bridgewater, but especially at night it does look quite run down. I think the Yutong looked really quite nice. It was nice and shiny, it didn't have any dirt considering it had been out on the Taunton local services for most of the day. It looked fairly clean, and I'm actually recording this video on the Saturday after, which is Saturday the 26th of April, and I've been on a few electric buses today, and they still looked really clean considering that the roads around Somerset tend to get very muddy. Anyway, I decided to walk up the coast a little bit to Vicarage Street, which is a stop a little way out of Burnham, and here is the Yutong E10 arriving back at the bus stop to take me back to Paulet. Tomorrow, which will be Saturday the 26th of April, I will be sampling the double-decker version of this bus. Anyway, you will notice the very colourful interior as we enter the bus. The flooring and most of the walls are grey, however there are a few bits of purple around the bus, which I think does look quite nice.
Please hold on tight as we pull away. This is the 21 Castle Way.
Siéntense pues.
If you are standing, please hold on tight as we pull away. For your safety, please remain seated until the bus stops. If you tap on when boarding, please remember to tap off as you leave. This is the 21 Castle Way. If you are standing, please hold on tight as we pull away.
Here I am going along the A38 again between Highbridge and Paula, going through a small village called Huntsville, which is effectively a load of houses situated around a main road, in this case the A38. Now on camera the brighting actually looks really bright and almost too intense for quite late at night. This is around 9 o'clock at night now. However, in real life I have to admit the brighting on the Yutong E10 was quite dim and was actually quite dark, and I dare say an old person or somebody with not very good eyes, which I mean is kind of me to be honest with you, could possibly trip over. I'm not too sure. This shot here where I'm pressing the button shows the lighting a tiny bit better, but even then it was still quite dim. Anyway, here I am arriving back at Paula, so I guess I will see you guys tomorrow when I go on the new Yutong U11 DDs with First Bus Somerset.
If you are standing, please hold on tight as we pull away.
Hello everybody, and here I am on one of the new double-decker electric buses on the Saturday morning after the Friday evening I went on the new Yutong E10 vehicle. Anyway, here I am leaving the village on one of the new Yutong U11 DD double-decker electric buses, this time heading southbound into Bridgewater rather than heading northbound towards Burnham on Sea, and I have to say straight off the bat, it is exactly the same as the Yutongs with First West of England up in Weston-super-Mare and Bristol. The only difference is that the destination boards are ever so slightly different, maybe, and on the exterior these wear the new First Bus ultraviolet livery rather than the West Bus green livery that buses wear up in Bristol. This has something to do with Wecker, otherwise the buses up in Bristol would wear the First Bus ultraviolet livery alongside these ones with First Bus Somerset. Anyway, here we are on the A38 again. Paula is kind of on a little loop where the buses go into the village instead of bypassing it on the main A38, and I have to say again, even though it is a double-decker vehicle and I don't think there is a huge amount of difference with the weight between a double-decker and a single-decker vehicle, the acceleration was astonishing. These are so much quicker than the older double-deckers that we have, even though they're possibly a tiny bit better than these. I know these have announcements and nice features. I just prefer a diesel bus rather than an electric bus. However, these buses, or this particular vehicle, because I had this going in and out of Bridgewater, was really fast. It was quite amazing, to be honest, and I dare say somebody could probably fall over. Some passengers almost did, to be honest.
If you are standing, please hold on tight as we pull away.
As we make our way into Bridgewater, here I am showing you around the seats. They are practically exactly the same as on all of the other Yutong vehicles. They have the same features, the same maquette, The stairway actually looked quite futuristic, as did all of the lights around the vehicle. It still has the purple branding, which I think looks quite nice, but the grey is just a little bit bland. Maybe they should have stuck with the pink like they did on some of the older liveries on the First Bus network, such as the First Bus Olympia and First Bus Barbie liveries.
For your safety, please remain seated until the bus stops. If you tapped on when boarding, please remember to tap off as you leave. This is the 21A Castle Way. If you are standing, please hold on tight as we pull away.
Here I am arriving at Bridgewater bus station following the B1, which isn't going electric just yet. I dare say it will do at some point, because eventually First Bus and probably all bus operators, or all major bus operators like Arriva, Go Ahead and Stagecoach, would like to go fully electric at some point. Anyway, it has to be said, that B1 also looked quite clean. Maybe First Bus have invested in new washers at some of their depots. I highly doubt it though. But for some reason or another, we pulled up against another Yutong heading northbound towards Burnham in the other direction. Although that was quite a strange thing that happened, it did allow me to get quite a good shot of the two buses side by side, and I did manage to get quite a few good pictures of the two buses side by side, and they looked pretty much identical, which is what you would expect. Here is the bus heading back towards Taunton from Burnham. This is the bus I jumped off of, and like I said yesterday, or a few minutes ago for you guys, the bus just has no dirt on it whatsoever. I don't really know why, to be honest. There's an Enviro 400 MMC to the left on the 375, and that's wearing a fairly newish livery as well, and yet the dirt does show up quite a bit, so I'm not too sure what's happened here. But anyway, here goes the Yutong going northbound towards Burnham, and again the bus does just look really quite nice. Here I am now back at Bridgewater bus station at around 1:15 in the afternoon, and here comes the Yutong heading back towards Burnham.
Bye.
Oh, are you? Sorry, love.
As I board the bus, you can see that the wheelchair ramp has been deployed by the driver. For some reason, even though this is a brand new bus, we still don't have the technology down here in Somerset and in many other parts of the UK, where the driver can just press a button and the ramp automatically goes out. They do have this technology in some cities across the UK, such as London, However, this may be because the buses have a door in the middle of the vehicle, whereas in Somerset and on many other rural routes across the country, across the UK, buses tend to have one door at the front, and that is it. As you can see on this bus, I decided to head upstairs and have a look what the upstairs is like. As you can see, the flooring is exactly the same as on the West of England ones. Quite nice flooring, the seats are exactly the same. However, upstairs, I don't know, I quite liked it upstairs, and it had that new bus smell as well.
For your safety, please remain seated until the bus stops. If you tapped on when boarding, please remember to tap off as you leave.
When I was at Riley's house, we had pepperoni pizza. Daddy. You got my drink? Aaron's got one on the side. Are these new buses that will start coming out all the time? They'll start coming out all the time.
This is the 21 Seaview Road.
As you heard then, the announcements on these new electric buses don't seem to work very well, and for some reason it says this is then it says the route, so on this vehicle it was the 21, and then it just says the final stop, like on this vehicle it said 21 Seaview Road, which is the final stop, whereas in my opinion, I think it should say 21 to Burnham on Sea, which is what it would say if it was run by First West of England, because on their new electric buses and on most of their ordinary buses that have announcements, they have a different voice, which I actually quite like. Here is the new destination screens. For some reason it is grey, not green, whereas the 21 route has traditionally been green, the Minehead route has been brown, the 22 has been blue, and so on. But this may be because First's new colours and corporate identity is purple and grey. It probably has something to do with that. Now, something that I do quite like about these buses is that they have announcements, and it may give passengers new opportunities. Like, for example, hardly any passengers know that there's a bus stop right here called Dunwall Tires. There's only a sign on the other side of the road which is pushed right into the hedge so nobody can see it. Also, what's quite funny is that these buses are Chinese, so whereas on an Alexander Dennis bus it would say Alexander Dennis, and on a Wright bus it would say Wright Bus Custom Care, on the Yutong all of the lettering is in Chinese, so you can't understand a word of it. Although I do quite like the Yutongs, the double-deckers are extremely ugly in my opinion. Other people might say they look beautiful. This is just my opinion, especially on the top deck where the big destination screen is. I understand that it helps passengers understand where they are and which stop to use, but I just think it's a bit excessive that it has to obstruct the large window at the front. However, it is like this on other vehicles such as the Scania Enviro 400 Cities that they have up in Bristol. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and I do quite like the electric Yutongs, even if the U11DD is extremely ugly in my opinion. I look forward to welcoming you on board some more new electric buses quite soon. Bye everyone!